What's up, guys? Stas here, and oh man, did we just witness yet again another crazy day in the stock market with the S&P 500 up 90 points, 3.15% today. Dow Jones up over 900 points, up almost 4% today, and the Nasdaq, believe it or not, actually lagged the group, up only 2%, 180 points, but still, in retrospect, guys, that is also a phenomenal day. So in this video, we're going to break down the markets a bit more, take a look at some technicals. I also want to share 5 breakout stocks that I'm watching and looking to trade right now, as well as what I've been doing in the market. And if you guys actually stick till the end of the video, I'm going to share some bonus stocks and bonus ETFs that I'm also looking to trade. So if you guys enjoy the video, as always, hit that like button, consider subscribing, and feel free to join our Strive Smart Discord chat and Facebook group, link down below in the description, and let's get right into it. So what kind of moved the market today? Well, we got a lot of optimism surrounding the CV with one of these vaccine companies, which is ticker symbol mRNA, also known as Moderna. And I hope you guys like that little accent spin that I put on there. And that, again, is ticker symbol mRNA. And we got some news. Let me just pull up my notes here. The vaccine was able to elicit an antibody response at just 2 weeks post-dose. And we know now that it's a race to the vaccine pretty much. We have a bunch of these companies, Inovio, NVax is another one, Moderna, so many other ones, right? These biotech plays. And whenever we get some good news from these vaccine companies, it seems like it pumps a lot of optimism into the stock market, right? And notice how Moderna earlier today was actually at $94 pre-market, right? This thing went from what, 65 to 95. That's a 30% move in the span of just one trading day, and it actually dumped a lot from there, all the way down, back down to about 76, and from that point, it's been consolidating, right? So we saw the pump in Moderna, the good news, that ultimately shot the markets up from about 2860 S&P up to about 2913 at the open, and from then, guys, we rallied for the whole entire day, and notice where we ended up closing. This is a very strong close on the S&P 500. We actually broke 2950, which has been a resistance for a couple months now, couple weeks, on the S&P 500. Notice how actually in the past couple of weeks on, let's say, this hourly chart, you can see back in the end of April, we got rejected 2950. A couple days ago, 11th of May, we got rejected at 2950. So the fact that we broke it today made that high here on the hourly chart, and we actually closed above 2950 as a support. That is a very good sign. So moving forward for the bulls, right? For the bulls, what am I looking at? I'm going to look and see whether or not we're going to hold 2950 heading into tomorrow, heading into the rest of this week, and whether or not we're going to slowly fill the gap up to 3,000. And by the looks of it, I think that's going to happen, guys. Again, with the positive news around the vaccine, $3 trillion stimulus bill right now, in the works, in the talks, right, as of right now. And of course, all of the money printing that's been going on top of everything, right? This is going to push the markets up even further, in my opinion, and you guys could probably agree with me. Is it the healthiest move ever? Probably not, since the printing of money long-term for an economy is not too good, but in the short term, it's definitely working, right? So watch for that gap up to about $3,000 on the S&P 500. The Dow Jones is finally looking bullish now. We talked about how it's been trading under moving averages, making lower lows. It was in this wedge, but now that we broke out of the wedge, you guys can see it now. We broke out of the top of that wedge, very, very bullish, and we also broke out of the moving averages, and we're noticing a bullish cross here, 50 SMA above the 180 SMA. This is a very good sign for the bulls, right? We could see a lot more upside here on the Dow Jones. Jones. And to see more upside, I'm going to have to see, technically speaking here, a break above, let's put it, maybe 24,700. Notice how back towards the end of February, that was a support. It was a resistance back in March, resistance back in the end of April. So if we break 24,700, guys, watch out above, because the Dow Jones could easily rally back up into the 25,000 level. And by the looks of it, the next big gap to fill is going to be up to about 25,800 bucks. So this could be the next leg up here in the short term, right, for the Dow Jones. And let's say we fail to break out of 24,700, of course, there could be more downside at that point, technically speaking. We'll end up seeing, which direction it ends up picking. And going back to the NASDAQ, guys, again, it lagged a bit today, 2% compared to 4% up on the Dow, 3% up S&P. But still, we broke a pretty strong level of resistance, 9,200 bucks. We're actually right at the resistance from back on the 11th, 12th of May. So I'm thinking, guys, in the short term, if we're able to break out of 9,200 or actually 9,300, we could see a strong shot for the NASDAQ to keep pushing up and maybe, just maybe, going up to the all-time high. I'm not calling that out, right, because that is a bit away from here, about 400 or 500 points. But if we break 9,300, guys, that is the direction that the NASDAQ is going to be headed. And I'd love to know down below in the comments, what are your thoughts on the markets, right? As of right now, everything is looking bullish across the board. And I'd love to know your thoughts. And when it comes down to SPY, I know many of you guys look at SPY when it comes down to tracking the S&P 500. Take a look at this level, 295. We closed right around it. If we break that, that could be the breakout zone for SPY, to the point where, yeah, we might be filling up to, let's say, 300. 297 in the short term could be a resistance. So these are a couple of levels to keep an eye out on across the different indexes here. And we can see, now that I just remembered in my head, the Russell 2000, guys. Small businesses comprise this index, up 6% today. That is insane, up about 76 points. And mind you, these stimulus bills, the small business loans, all of this stuff is obviously helping small businesses a lot, right? And that's why we're seeing, again, the Russell 2000 doing pretty well today, right? Doing pretty well today, and on the hopes, of course, of this vaccine. That would be very strong for the small and mid-cap businesses. So again, let me know down below in the comments, what are your thoughts on the markets? What are you buying? What are you selling? As for me, guys, today was a pretty simple day. We talked about EA, Electronic Arts, in yesterday's video, and I actually ended up placing a limit order before the day even started. It might have been last night. I placed a limit order at about $116, actually exactly at $116. And you guys can see we had a pretty massive dump in EA today, despite the markets in general doing quite well. And that actually got me to fill pretty much instantly, not instantly, but in the first couple of minutes in the market today. So you guys can see we dropped down from about 118 all the way down to about 114, and I actually got filled before that, so I was holding a bit in the red here. Not much. I was down about 1% at first. But ultimately, I ended up locking in a profit. Let me check my notes. $117.25. That's where I actually locked in this profit here. So ultimately, from 116 up to about 117.25, the move was about 1 to about 1.1%. So nothing too crazy, but like I say on the channel, guys, profit is profit. I'm happy with making money in the markets, whether it's 1%. Of course, I'd like to make 10, 15%, but that's not the game, guys. The game is to try and grab some of the move, lock in profits, and then play it safe, right? Or at least that's what I like to do, and wait for the next opportunity. Sure, you can hold on and try and get more gains, but ultimately that puts you in a riskier spot, depending on what you're trading, whether it's options, stocks, ETFs, index, whatever, right? It kind of depends, but for the most part, I like getting in and out, locking in that quick profit. And to be honest, I'm looking to get back into EA, but I want to see a break above 120. me. That's kind of a sticking point on the stock right now, as you guys can see. But the fact that we are uptrending at the same time, seeing that brick wall resistance, that's putting us in a wedge. So ultimately, we're going to see some sort of direction, but we just have to be patient. Whether it's above 120, under 116, we just have to be patient, right? So let's get on to these 5 breakout stocks that I'm watching right now. And the first one, guys, is going to be good old Moderna, right? And I typically don't trade these biotech vaccine stocks, but in the time period that we're in, I think it's wise, guys. And, you know, I really wouldn't trade it with more than what I'm willing to lose, obviously, because it's a bit more speculative. But guys, you have to do your own due diligence and approach it with caution and approach it with your own risk assessment. But at this point, this could be a dip buy on mRNA, especially with the positive catalyst that we got today. And maybe in the future, the next couple of weeks, if we continue to get positive catalyst, this stock could go even higher. We've seen analysts upgrade many of these biotech stocks, although you have to take their upgrades with a grain of salt. It's still a pretty good sign that we're seeing that, right? And again, $94 down to $80. This could be a perfect entry point. About 15 to 20% profit potential has been opened as we've pulled down. The overall 4-hour trend seems to be holding as of right now. Let's say we break this EMA on the 4-hour chart. We could be heading down in the short term, maybe to $70. As you can see, after hours, we actually are down into the $70 level. But either way, 70, 75 in this general area, it could be an entry point. But patience is key. We have to wait and see kind of how it does end up moving, what's the price action going to look like, and then we'll be able to determine that. Another vaccine company is NVAX, ticker symbol NVAX. You guys can see they were also up about 30% today, up $13.33. And this one, not as attractive, technically speaking, as mRNA. We're actually very close to that high, about $5 under that high. So only about 10% profit potential margin has been opened from this drop. So for me, guys, ideally, I would like to see it pull down. I'd say maybe to 45 to about $50. Is that wishful thinking? Am I asking for too much? We probably won't get it. You know, maybe we'll see. And even like $50, guys, that could be a good opportunity. You guys can see after hours, just like Moderna, this one's falling down as well. So we're just going to have to see. You know, at this point, buying into the weakness on these as a speculative play, you know, that could open up a decent opportunity in the short term, in my opinion. Another crazy stock today, guys, has just been tearing it up is ACB Aurora. You guys can fill in the blank. If I do, I'll get demonetized, right? But today it was up $5.90, up 52%. Absolutely incredible, because if you guys remember last week, I don't remember the exact figures, but we were up 50-60% on Friday. Was it Friday or was it Thursday? Either way, we were up an amazing amount last week as well. So this stock's gone from $5, guys. Oh my God, this is a moment where I wish I just had a crystal ball. You know, crystal ball, you know, I just wish I had it, because this went from $5 to 20. That is a 400x return, or a 400% return rather. That is just incredible. And I think, honestly, the rally is not done. I really don't think it's done quite yet, because these MJ stocks, guys, you have to understand, they've been just completely trashed and just thrown out. It's like they've been crumpled up and thrown out into the garbage. This one in particular has gone from 105 all the way down to $5. And this is actually after the reverse split. This was actually a penny stock a couple weeks ago, or actually just about a week or two ago, and they did the split. And it's still getting crushed, obviously, right? Because the split doesn't really affect that. It just changes the values and the share amounts of the prices. We'll maybe make a video about that in the future. But still, ACB is just crushed, guys. And quite honestly, if we're looking at some technicals, you see there is a bit of resistance at about $20, which is where we did top out kind of today. So that could be a point to watch out for. But above 20, you know, this thing could rally rally up to $22, in the short term, maybe up to about $25. These are some levels ACB can go to based on this long-term yearly chart. And like I mentioned all the time in my videos, don't just stick to the 5-day, 5-minute chart, for example, or the daily chart, the intraday chart. Take a look at many time frames. Open up your horizon when it comes down to many different time frames, because the truth is it'll give you different perspectives on the stock that you're analyzing. And again, if you're looking at this time frame, you can see, okay, $20, we hit the resistance. We're pulling back down now, but we're noticing a double bottom at 17, and we're breaking out of the resistance at about 1770. So this, in my opinion, is a pretty bullish close. And after the actually after hours, we're looking a bit bullish as we are breaking about 1770 and into the $18 level. So tomorrow, guys, $18 to $20 and above, I think, is very possible here for ACB. And ultimately, these I was about to slip there. These MJ companies, they had a pretty good earnings season. At least ACB did, right? They just reported earnings, and that's where kind of the huge spike has occurred, because many people like toilet paper, like this, like that. They are hoarding MJ. They saw some pretty good sales numbers. So that, in the short term, in my opinion at least, could really continue rallying the stock. And another one that actually did poorly today is Square. Ticker symbol SQ, down about 4.5%, almost $4 on the day. And for me, guys, this could be an opportunity to enter, right? Buying into this weakness could be wise, at least in my opinion. And as always, you have to do your own research, do your own due diligence. Don't buy anything based on my opinion. But take a look at what happened here. We hit about $81 resistance. We tried testing 78 as a support. We failed. Now we're looking to fill the gap back down to about $75. And ultimately, that is where I'm looking to enter, anywhere between $75 and, let's say, $76, because notice how 76 was a resistance last week. So if we're able to hold that as a new support, that's very bullish in the short term, right? And especially this overall 50 SMA on this 4-hour chart, that would be fantastic. And from there, $75, $76, guys, we can make a pretty solid move, at least in my opinion, short term, maybe back into the 80s, right? And that could offer 5, 6, 7% potential for profit. So keep an eye there on SQ. Definitely some opportunity. Another one that we called out in yesterday's video, and I personally didn't take the move because a majority of the move came pre-market, was Nike. Ticker symbol NKE. We talked about how if we're able to hold $85, which has been a support, right? And we saw the confirmation last week that it was holding 85. So we talked about how it was likely that from 85, it's going to go to 88. It did that today. And then from there, it's going to go up to about $90, $91. We did exactly that. So at this point, am I forcing this move? No, but let me talk to you guys about what could end up happening here. Notice how this is a textbook horizontal pattern. We're trading between $85 and about $90. At this point, if we break out, take a look. If we break into 92, guys, that is a breakout. That's bullish. We could end up going back up to, let's say, $95, maybe into the hundreds, right? That's the trajectory that Nike would be moving if we broke 95, or rather 91, right? But let's say we get rejected. This could be an awesome short-term, maybe short put option, right? Because we could be going back down to $88. But by the looks of it, right, market's green, positive momentum, optimism, at least to start off this week. We're probably going higher here in Nike if the markets stay green, right? So watch that move up to maybe 95. That could be an awesome opportunity here in the short term. And although I'm not looking to force this stock, CMG, Chipotle Mexican Grill, I figured it's worth mentioning because it made history today, at least in its own form. its own stock went to $1,000 per share. I believe that's history. Let me take a look, guys. Is that the first time? Yup, first time the stock has cracked $1,000. Absolutely incredible here for Chipotle. Not looking to trade it necessarily unless it gets back into the 900, maybe 950 level, but just figured to mention it here in this video. And let's talk about some gold, guys, because gold, now getting into these bonus stocks and ETFs, gold saw a very favorable move, in my opinion, from somebody that's looking to get long in either GDX or GLD. And why do I think it's favorable? Because we pulled down. Quite honestly, I think, and I mentioned this last week and over the weekend, gold was a bit overextended, right? We got all the way up to 1773 today. You know, the futures yesterday were up 1770s, and I'm not looking to buy GLD there, which is an ETF that tracks gold. I wasn't looking to get into GDX at those overinflated prices. And now that we're seeing the pull down in gold, and it's holding a critical level at 1730, guys. Notice how that is a resistance from a couple weeks ago. This could be an awesome entry point for those that want to go long gold. Notice how we broke the wedge, right? And I don't know if you guys can see it. It is kind of sloppy here. I do apologize, my ThinkOrSwim. I need to clean it up a bit, but either way, we can see the break out of the wedge, which was very bullish. We rallied all the way up to about 1770, 1780. We failed to break it. But now that we're pulling again down to 1730, this could be the entry for the next pop. Hopefully, let's not say hopefully, because hoping in the markets is stupid. You have to execute a plan and have conviction in that plan, right? But let's say we do end up holding 1730, we could end up eventually rallying into the 1800s, and that would actually coincide with my longer-term bullish theory here that gold is going to 1900, 2000 as we kind of get into the inflationary environment. And right now we're in more of a deflationary environment, actually, as the dollar strengthening. But let's say dollar weakens, you know, we might see another pop into gold. That's kind of what I'm thinking here. Pop of gold, rather. And GLD is an ETF that tracks the price of gold. It's at a fantastic dip right now, holding $163. You know, we might pull down to 161. That could also be a good entry point. But ultimately, I'm looking to buy into this most likely tomorrow, and GDX as well. Although GDX, I'd like to see it a bit lower, maybe $34, maybe lower 35s. That could be an entry point. But either way, I'm bullish gold. I'm bullish GDX, bullish GLD, just trying to nitpick my positions here because at the end of the day, guys, that's kind of the job as a trader. And NAT, ticker symbol NAT, Nordic American Tankers, they actually reported earnings. And like I said yesterday, guys, they didn't end up exploding on earnings. And let me explain why. Down about 20 points today, 20 cents rather, down about 4% on the day. And it's because really the hype in the stock is slowly dying down. The hype was a couple of weeks ago. Not saying that it's not going to rally again. That's not what I'm saying. But the earnings, they beat on earnings, you know, 27 cents versus 26 cents. Revenue came in at 86 million versus 83 million, but that wasn't enough to really move the stock at the end of the day, right? The hype is kind of dying down on NAT, but still it's holding $485, which is positive. And the bullish case here, although in the short term we aren't rallying on the earnings, the bullish case is still pretty intact because the next quarter is supposed to be even better here for Nordic American Tankers, and that could ultimately end up pushing the stock higher. Maybe we gradually push up to that next earnings report. Who knows? But at this point, guys, I'm not looking to force a trade here, but if we're able to break into the 5s, the 6s, maybe I'll dip my toes a little bit as more bullish momentum volume could be kicking in there, and especially leading into their next earnings report, it could be an opportunity here. So that's pretty much it for today's video, guys. Another big mover, actually, now that it just came to my head, was UGAS today, up about 20%. Natural gas is slowly trying to push up, although if you see this chart very quickly on the 4-hour, we're in this downward downwards channel. You can see we tried breaking up today on the 90-day chart. You'll be able to see it a bit more here. We actually got rejected by a major moving average on the 90-day chart, so keep an eye tomorrow. If we're able to break 185, 190 on natural gas and do something like that, that could be very bullish. Take a look at what I just drew here on the platform, guys. If we do that into the twos, that could be very bullish for you guys, which goes up whenever natural gas is going up. So I'm going to wrap it up there, guys. If you enjoyed the video, hit that like button for me. Consider subscribing. And if you guys actually want 2 free stocks from Webull, one of them valued up to $1,400, check out my link down below in the description box. If you deposit $100 into the account, you get those 2 free stocks. And again, one of them valued up to $1,400. So I'll catch you all in the next video. Thanks again for watching. As always, be safe out there, guys. Peace out.